Awesome. Awesome.
Wasn't as cringeworthy as I was like
Music
afraid it would be?
Yeah. That was Tom's music, most of it.
Budget would actually add to 5 crowns.
What was that for the bathroom?
The bathroom.
Yeah, we're going big budget. So I made a little presentation just to explain like how I made it, and of course the first one was Vampires Anonymous. This Tom, who was involved in it? You were involved in that one. You were there. You weren't there for Vampires Anonymous.
No.
Nobody else actually. Interesting. Well, we made one already, and I made a set of goals that were like, this is what I want to do better with the next one. So I'll explain like what those goals were, how we did better, and so on, and what we made it. So this one, it took a few. I don't know if it took hours to write. Let's say it did. It was an hour and a half to film, as you know. We rehearsed it for an hour and a half before then. It took me like an afternoon to edit. And it's 5 minutes long. So that means that we can create 5 minutes worth of free movie in 10 hours, and we can make a feature film in like 160 hours, which is like a few weeks, isn't it? So it's like with no previous ideas as well, we could probably do that. It's a bit more intensive, but we can do that. You of course know this. You know it as well, don't you? Suppose your triangle. Fernando, when we were doing the video, I didn't have time to stop and explain this, but we were kind of messing with these settings. I did talk about the ISO sometimes and the aperture and the shutter speed. So if you remember, when I decreased the aperture, more things came into focus. And so generally, like the more down you come here, the more in focus you get until here, like everything's in focus, right?
It depends, but yeah, more is in focus.
More is in focus, yeah. Whereas if you're up here and you're close to somebody, they will be in focus and the background will be blurry, which looks nice when you're doing close-ups and stuff. I think we got a little bit of that going on. I don't think we were close enough for my lens to really get that pronounced effect. But then, as you can see here, you do that for what you want in focus, but you also do it for how much light you want, because this lets in way less light and this lets in a lot more light. What we did is we had the ISO low when this was wide open, because this was providing most of the light. When we closed this, we raised the ISO a little bit. I think we never went above like 400 or 500, something like that. Why would we not want to go higher? Noise, exactly. If you're increasing the sensitivity of the sensor, you're also increasing the noise you pick up, so you get a lot of grain. You might have noticed when we were in the bathroom, I think we had to crank the ISO quite high because the lights were terrible, and so it's kind of noisy looking, grainy, not very good. So that's why you would mostly control the light with the aperture, because when it comes to shutter speed with video, the shutter speed is twice what the frame rate is. Films are 24 frames per second. They just are. Some people say it's comfy on the eye, which I think is nonsense, because I've looked at 60 frames per second, 30 frames per second. I actually can't tell the difference. But 24 frames per second is like standard, industry standard, probably because like when they made it with the old film cameras, that was as fast as they could go. So we do that to this day for, I promise you, I think no reason whatsoever. But the shutter speed has to be twice what the frame rate is. So if it's 24 frames per second, you want 1/48th of a second as your shutter speed, right? For film. That's just the rule. It's to do with, I actually don't know why, but I wouldn't mess with that. I talked to Frederick, and he said you could use multiples of the same. So like, if you're going to do 24 frames per second, 1/50th, you could also set the shutter speed to like 1/100th, and it would probably be okay, he says. I've never messed with that. I'm probably never going to mess with that, but shutter speed is more or less fixed. You more or less control light with ISO.
Shutter speed, if you have like 1/50th of a second, you get a little bit of motion blur on the movie, so the movement gets more natural. If you do faster shutter speed, they do that in like action movies, then everything is a little bit more.
Okay.
So that's the main reason why they use it. And the 50 or 60th of a second, it depends on the lighting, because in Norway you have to adjust it to the Norwegian power system, which is 50 hertz.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
And in the US they have to do a different one because they use, I'm not sure what they use, but it's slightly different.
60 or something, I think it is.
So in Norway they use, well in the States they use 24, and here we can use 50, 60.
Yes, yes.
I'm not quite sure, because that's why I'm here to learn, but that's the reason.
I can tell you it's 50 because we got it wrong when we made this.
It's 50
and I'll show you.
here in Norway, yes.
Yeah.
And probably 60 in the States, or countries that do 120 20 volts currency.
Yeah.
Why do you say we're going to run?
Oh, you'll see. It was on 1/40th, not 1/50th, which I thought, who cares? Actually, I didn't notice. I think I must have clicked it with my thumb by accident, and it made this bad flickering effect that I managed to remove. But I'll show you some of the flickery footage, because when you get these fluorescent lights and you're not at 1/50th, you get flickering on the screen. So that's why you want it at 1/40th. So as you saw, we just filmed lots of bits and then we stuck them together. But when you watch that, it looked like everyone was talking together, right? Except we all know they weren't. We were sat here watching it filmed. Your brain just sticks it all together. We're kind of lucky that it does that. But I find it really interesting because a lot of actors I know are very worried about the performances and so on, but you forget that you are undeniably relying on an audience's imagination to supply something itself. You don't need to do all the work, you know? So, you know, nobody's going to watch that and think we weren't talking together, I don't know. But this is how you do it, it's J and L cuts. So this is like part of the timeline I had with all the video clips. And here that's the pan until we made it, everyone. And Patrick says, you can't just, right? But I started your audio here and just cut off this first bit of the video so that while she just finishes, we made it, everyone, we're still on her and we hear, you can't just, and then we segue into you. So it links it together. And it makes it look, a little bit of overlap is like a professional thing to do. That's a J cut because you see this J shape here. An L cut would be if you kept talking and then the next clip appeared and your audio kept going, then you would have an L cut on that side. So you do both of these just to stick everything together. So
That's not to do with the jump cut when you've crossed the line.
No. It's just to do with the linking, making it look like people are talking together and keeping the pacing okay, because it would look super unprofessional if it was like, we made it, everyone. You can't just, it would be like, why is there a gap? You know, be weird, amateurish, I think, is how it plays. Though, of course, it's used in films to create a sense of unease. You know, like in a Coen Brothers film, they'll cut from one guy to another guy talking, and there won't be overlap because they're trying to create tension in the space between them. I was not going for a Coen Brothers thing this time. Maybe next time. Yeah, there's this book, Walter Murch in the Blink of an Eye. It's he's like a pro editor. He edited Apocalypse Now, and it took him like years, and he did one cut a day. So how is he a pro if it took him that long? I think, like, Jesus. But he was like, he was talking about how when you cut from one person talking to another, like if I show a shot of you guys looking over there, and then I show a cut there, your brain's going to go, all right, okay, we've gone from that side of the room to the other. But there's no real reason that our brain should be able to do that. We just got lucky, and that's how films work, you know. You're not going to go, oh, whoa, who are these guys? Where am I now, you know? Like a baby, maybe, when you do the peekaboo thing. I don't know. Yep, the talking umbrella, we recorded Lindsay's audio before you came in, and as you saw, Alice just jigged it. And then I stuck her audio beneath the umbrella, and it looked like she was talking. And she was standing right here, so I had the same audio as the room. So it didn't sound too weird that an umbrella was talking. Or maybe not, I don't know. Here's my legendary floating umbrella scene. You saw how I did this. So, Fernando, you had the camera at the back of the room. It's behind your head there. And we filmed a static shot of everyone just staring for like 15 seconds it was. And we're lucky that it's like right in her eye line. I didn't really mean for that, but it looks like they're looking at the umbrella, which we got lucky there. So we filmed this static shot of everyone doing that, and then I walked up with this umbrella. And then this is in the Fusion tab in DaVinci Resolve. So Fusion is for special effects. And then we've got this clip here. That's the background clip. So background gets the little yellow thing when you merge them together. This one here is the foreground. So that's the green that goes in there when they get merged together. This delta here, when you click on here, like a little box opens up. And you take a dropper and you stick it on the green. And then it removes everything that's green. So what happens before I do anything more is just like this all disappears, and you've got this like thing here and my hand and the umbrella and just like that transparent through it because we're overlaying this image on there. So then what you do is you add this polygon, which is the shape that you draw the shape around it, and then you attach it to the delta key here where you took this out, and it says, what do you want to do with this? You call it a garbage mat. And then it removes everything inside the polygon. So you say, invert it. I want you to remove everything outside of the polygon. So then when I draw this around here, I've already removed the green, and I'm saying everything outside here also has to be removed from this image here. So then all you're left with is the umbrella. And a little bit of shadow. Could I be bothered taking that out? No, not really. Not when I was, because what I would have to do is frame by frame, change this so that it was right up against the umbrella, and then go a frame forwards and animate this polygon so that it moves with the umbrella and moves along with it. So I did animate it a little bit, but I did it kind of roughly around there. So you can still see there's like shadow under the umbrella and everything. Get the point, you know. And it was about getting the point, and it was about practicing. I've proved that I can do this, and I can refine it and do it more professionally if I so choose. But that was the goal for me with this, was just use my green screen and get it floating. Oh yeah, cool. So we saw that Alice, like, we liked that she went and she ripped that thing, and then she left, but she didn't bump her arm in the door. We wanted her to go back and bump her arm in the door. Yep. So I filmed it closer up, like that, and then I cut the two together to look like we're just closed in, right? I'm going to show you this clip here, because this is where I got the idea from. It's like an indie filmmaking tip. Does anyone know what that's from? Who that was? No? It's, sorry?
Is it written, or what was it?
Oh yeah, it's right there, yeah.
Mariachi.
Oh, did I write it there?
Yeah.
Or did it say in the video link? Okay, I didn't catch it. You guys are like Hawkeyes. Tabs, video title. I'm going to be more careful next time. Yeah, Robert Rodriguez on Mariachi. It's his first film. Does anyone know anything about it? Cost him $7,000 to make. Then it grossed $2 million at the box office when he sold it to whoever he sold it to, Miramax or wherever. Yeah, I think it might be the most profitable film of all time, from a budget of 7,000 onwards. And most of that budget was buying film stock. He said if he had like a digital camera, he could have made it for $700. And then like Robert Rodriguez. Do you know his other films?
He made something with Tarantino.
It's not a Planet Terror?
That's right. Yeah, Planet Terror, From Dusk Till Dawn. Is that one? Yeah. So I mean, he's done big films after that. This is how he got started, was just in his back, like in his neighborhood with his friends. And then I was like, oh, cool. So you don't need to reshoot it. You just punch in and do that. Which incidentally breaks something called the 30-degree rule. Does anyone know what that rule is? Exactly. So who cares? It doesn't matter. 30-degree rule is that when you cut from one cut to another, you should change the angle by at least 30 degrees. Otherwise, it looks kind of jarring because not enough has changed. Yeah. Apparently. Rodriguez did it and he made $2 million. So I did it, I didn't make any money, but it doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah, geography.
Yeah, make your own geography. You're telling a story, you're not being accurate about a place. As you know that like when you walk out of here, you don't end up there. Alice walks down the stairs that you know are just out there. She was already down them when she came out here, but we walked her all the way down because it's funny to have her go a big distance, and nobody but us knows that that's not out there. And even though we do, it doesn't. Maybe it's funnier, you know, whatever. Then she was like, "Oh, the door doesn't open," and I was like, "Right." I was going to stop filming, and she said, "No, film me going up there." And like how frustrating it is that I need to pay. So that was a joke that she discovered while I had the camera in my hand. So there's always space for creative discovery. It's a question I get a lot, which I don't really understand, is people are like, do you make actors say like every word as you wrote it? I don't know why they ask that, but no, I don't. Like as long as you give the impression of what you said, as long as it conveys the same purpose, it's fine.
When we make it with my character, I think I end up saying completely different things that you wrote. So they deliver the same message, but with a completely different way.
Exactly. So it doesn't. I'm not precious about words at all. Like as a writer, I'm more about just ideas than lyrical language or perfect sentence structures. Never really been my thing. So I let people like Akanksha as well. She played the doctor, and she was like, I don't know what comorbidities are. So I said, all right, say pre-existing conditions instead. Because she knew what those were. It means basically the same thing. Sounds doctory. Fine, go for it. So, if you have ideas or you want to say something a different way, just ask, make it more natural, organic, whatever, it doesn't matter. And like I say, like nothing is ever set in stone. I think I think Hollywood survives on the kind of myth of genius authors with a vision. That's how they get all these big bucks. But I think anyone can have a creative idea, and I'm not this like, everyone had to do exactly what was on the page because he has this genius vision. Like, I think you can tell I don't have a genius vision. Like, it's fine. You can. It's a collaborative medium, and I want people to participate and find stuff like this and put it in. If you do, the audio. We were filming with this. We were filming with the Rode mic that's on my Canon M50. I know that's not how you pronounce Rode. That's how people pronounce it because people use it in the US. So I'm going to say it. I had some audio straight out the camera. Had some sound effects, the rain at the beginning. I had some music from Tom that I put on its own track. I had two different ones in the Rode because, like I say, I was overlapping the dialogue, so I had to create two channels just to overlap them a bit. Let's see, M50. So yeah, it was straight out the camera when we went to Alice with the door because I hadn't realised we were going to record audio. I thought I was going to just play music over it the way I did the whole way. But then she found that joke by the door, so I just used the audio straight out the camera, which is not a great idea, but whatever. Then, yeah, the zoom, this is the zoom. So that was for Alice's part and all the sides that were recorded over there. They get their own track. And the reason they do is because each device creates its own type of noise, so you have to add like a noise reduction plugin on each different channel. De-hummer as well. I think maybe the lights make a humming sound. So you have to take the hum out, wherever that comes from. There usually is one. And so that's why you keep everything on a separate channel. Yeah, done is better than perfect is the common indie filmmaking tip, because you can finish something, but you can't make something perfect. So I would rather that you finish it than make something perfect. But there are a number of improvements that we can make for next time. When we did that pan at the beginning, it wasn't quite smooth as it looked when we were making it. So what you can do is, on that tripod I have, you can add a rubber band, pull on that, and then the tension becomes smoother as it turns from left to right, apparently. If you have
I could feel it, that it was not...
it was shaking a little bit.
No, it was not shaking, but then it was not a smooth movement when I was turning the camera.
Okay. Then that's what we can do next time you do with the rubber band. If you've got like a fluid head or something very, very expensive, you don't have to. But I have to. With all my kit, I have to use stuff like that. Wrong shutter speed. Yeah, so let me show you what it looked like straight out the camera. I got a clip here. So this is before I've like processed it, changed the color or anything. Okay, so start recording on your guys, and you just say your lines and say them to the person that you're addressing. So filmmaker 1, your line is to Leo, so you look at Leo and say it.
You weren't too off, that's why you couldn't see it that much, but it could be worse if you went even further away from...
Yeah. Well, we got it correct the first time when we made Vampires Anonymous, but not this time. So I was like, great, this one's going to be better. And then I saw a mistake we hadn't made the first time. And I was like, oh God, it's going to be worse. But luckily, in DaVinci Resolve, the paid version, which I got for the film that we made, there's a de-flicker plugin that you just stick on the video clip. And then you say, it was fluorescent light that did this. And it goes, all right, I'll take it out. Because you already paid money. Isn't that good? And I didn't really notice it. You can notice it in the clip when I've got the floating umbrella. I think because I didn't put it on both the video clips or something. I didn't do it properly. But that clip lasts 2 seconds and you'd have to be looking for it. If you watch it a few times, you'd catch it, but won't get the wrong shutter speed again. Lighting in the bathroom. You can't even see me there. I had no idea it was going to be that dark. I had my little light with me, but it was here and we were all the way down there, so I was like... And I think the white balance was different in the bathroom, different lighting. It means you should formally set the lighting balance. At one point, Frederick said to me, like, do you want to film everyone nodding so you can cut it in later? Which was in the script. And I was like, no, I think I'm good. I think I've got enough cuts of people. I just got the sense that people were getting tired and didn't want people to sit there nodding after. I think this was after we'd done the freak out. And it was a good point, it was a good catch, but I didn't do it, and then I didn't have any clips of anyone nodding. I should have just gone with that. But the thing is, like, the reason you have a director is not really because one guy knows better than everyone else in the room. It's just because ultimately one person has to make all the decisions, for better or worse, or it's chaos. I can't listen to like 16 different people at once. As much as I would like to, people were telling me many different good ideas at the time. And I could only listen to so many before I was like, should we do red or blue? I'm like, oh, don't even care. Press and play over there. So, as a director, I'll try and listen to people better next time. I think it was a bit frantic, and I just wanted to get things done the way I'd planned them. But I'll try and, if anyone's got good ideas, I'll try and listen to them.
We don't have to finish the shoot in one day. I mean, as long as people remember what they are wearing, then it should be fine.
Yeah, but then the buses go on strike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would have been today, right? But you're right. You know, if we can, then we can postpone it. But then we've got
I could definitely make my hair look exactly the same.
Well, we filmed that.
Just go like, yeah.
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 We started filming one in Akanksha's place. We got it half finished.
Oh, we've got like a scene left or something.
Yeah, and then a pandemic started and she went off to India, so kind of ended that. I agree with you. Like, of course, you know, there are other. You don't always have to get it done on the day, but it's good just to done is better than perfect. Check which lines carry over in the same scene. Yeah, so I had to make some cuts where it looked like these guys were talking, and then I cut to like them there, and then back to them again, and that's because I hadn't filmed every line in that sequence at once. So I think it was something like, you know, it was like this doesn't. You said like this thing with the umbrella, like Umbrellas Anonymous, it doesn't make any sense. And Alice said, what and Vampires Anonymous did, and then Amanda said, yeah, well, how about filming one that does make sense, right? If I'd filmed all those 3 lines at once, I wouldn't have had to cut to anyone else. But I cut to disguise the fact that I'd gone, right, yeah, I'd gone, okay, let's do Filmmaker 6 now, and by then it was totally out of sequence. So if I'd sat with the script and realised, like after we'd blocked it all out, these 3 lines are going to come one after the other, I could have filmed them one after the other. So I'll make sure to do that next time. 180 degree rule, we broke it here. We should be on that side of him, not that side. Because we were on that side when we filmed him talking to the umbrella, and then we went over there. But we broke it once. I don't know if we broke it other times, we might have done. Broke it once out of all the times that we did, after all the times that we showed people the room. It doesn't even matter, it really doesn't matter. If you didn't notice until I pointed it out,
I don't think it is.
then it doesn't matter.
Just see it one more time after this.
It's fine. Yeah, sure.
Now we can look for all the mistakes that we didn't notice, because I didn't notice.
Great, fantastic, that's
Which
good.
means it's good.
Awesome, that's good to know. Well, it's good, but I've got no idea because I've watched it 10 times, you know, I see everything wrong with it, so
I'm really happy with it.
it's great to hear as the first audience that it looks good and that you're happy with it. I'm happy with it too, just, you know, there's different things to pick up on. Hopefully that these things go into my mind so that I just go, oh wait, let me just check the shutter speed again. And this builds my skills as a director so that I can fix stuff like this. Like, oh, wait, we're going somewhere else? Let me just check if the white balance is okay. Or, wait, we're going somewhere, I don't know if the lighting is going to be okay. Let me just pocket my light so I've got it on me in case we need it, you know. I have spare batteries, I have spare memory cards. I've covered a lot of different things that can go wrong, but not all of them. These are things I can do next time. But I had a slide like this for the last video I showed you. I will never not have a slide with something wrong on it to show you, like, to do better next time. You're all filmmakers. You were in a film. Like, that was filmmaking you did last week. Now just do it better next time. That's how it works.
In 5 years, we'll be able to make a 90-minute film in 1 hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
You do those kind of. There was this big Russian one-shot film, which is a proper feature film, but is one shot.
Russian Ark.
Yeah.
It's called,
And
yeah.
it had, like, you have to do some incredible planning to be able to do that. Like, because there's a lot of story happening. There's several rooms, a lot of people, and it's like a feature film.
Yeah.
So it is possible. But there's like, yeah, it's an hour of filming, but it's like tons of hours of planning.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe you've done it one shot, and I was like, no, let's do it again.
Well, I mean, Tom knows more about this stuff than I do, and he said we'd gone pretty fast. So I think, like, for 10 hours making 5 minutes of film, you're absolutely right. Like, if it was just like, if we could film it in one shot, then the filming would take 5 minutes. But then those 10 hours would go into planning instead. You can't cut down the time, you can just shift it from one place to another. Yes, so I made a list of goals I wanted to do after Vampires Anonymous. Vampires Anonymous, I think, was the first film I made with the camera I had. And I didn't really know how it worked or what the differences between the lenses that I owned were. So I used what I thought was the kit lens, because I thought I was supposed to use the kit lens and not some like other type of lens. I was correct that it was a kit lens, but I didn't actually know the difference between them. I'd never owned lenses before. I didn't formally white balance it. This is how you, like, I didn't bring my camera, but this is what you do. This is what I did the next time. So I took a camera, I took a photo of something white under this lighting. And then I went into the camera settings and I said, set custom white balance, and used this picture that I just took of something white in the room. And then it goes, right, okay, I've got the white balance set. You can probably explain white balance better than I can.
Yeah.
What is good? White balance kit.
No, I don't, but I have the camera.
Ah, very nice.
The white balance is all the colors, like in the morning, the light is warm, and when the sun gets up and before the sun gets down, and here everything is yellow. Oh, and mine is black and white, which I will set back. But you can adjust the white balance so that the colors get right, because if you do it on automatic, then if I film towards you, you have the lights from the ceiling and the TV, which is one white balance. If I go to the door, I miss that one and the color changes. So you can set the white balance manually. And
So basically you are telling the camera, this is white, not
this is
yellow.
white balance.
Yes, yeah.
So I will see. I can adjust it. Can you see the yellow? You can adjust the white balance.
Oh, yeah, see, it
Oh,
was
wow.
yellow, now it's white.
Yeah.
So you can go there and then you go back to. So you actually adjust the white balance so the colors get correct.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you use the white paper, because the white paper has a different color depending what light you shine on it. If you do red flashlight, the white paper gets red.
Mm-hmm.
But so you measure the white balance on something that you know that's supposed to be white, or actually 18% gray. So that's its average color. That's why you can set so the white balance is always the same.
And this is something that our eyes do automatically, but the cameras don't, right?
Yeah, well, if you put on sunglasses, red is still red because your brain corrects it.
Mm-hmm. And like if you take sunglasses off, everything looks weird for a little while until your eyes adjust again. Is that right?
If you saw that picture
Well, it's
of
just
the
too much
dress
light.
on online someplace,
Oh, the
picture.
dress, the dress.
Yeah.
Yeah,
is
what,
blue for some people
what
and-
color is the dress?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that you can trick your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So well, that's not white balance, but yeah. You can trick your eyes into see, and when you see it for some time, your brain adjusts to it. So yeah, you still see the colors, but if you have two screens right next to each other with different white balance, it's kind of terrible.
It's difficult to. You can correct it somewhat in post, but it's good to get it right first time, because if your difference between whatever white balance you had the setting on and what you correct it in post is too big, then it will be too reddish. You'll lose color depth and everything. It's just it's actually a minor thing, but I should have done it properly.
You can use it creatively as well. If you wanted to feel cold, you make the white balance blue.
Yes,
If you
yeah.
wanted to feel warm, you make a warm white balance.
That was one of the tips in the Sydney Lumet book, because last time I mentioned how you use different lenses to compress space to make things more tense, which was what he did in 12 Angry Men. And he had another film where he like deliberately put like the wrong gels on outside to make it extra blue and extra warm for different parts of the film. So yeah, you can do it creatively as well. I suppose I should have pretended I was doing it creatively, but I just did it wrong. Yes, so I used the kit lens for vampires, which isn't like, it doesn't give you a good shallow depth of field. That's when you get the blurry background for close-ups. We got a little bit of blur for umbrellas when we were focusing on people in close-ups, but I think we should have gone a bit closer to them. My 50mm lens does that really well. Yeah, I think it was mostly like, it was all static shots in the vampire one. But now we had a tripod to pan and track Alice when she left the room, and then had the gimbal to follow her with, so there was a larger variety of camera moves in this one. Correct ISO setting, yeah, because what I did with the other one was when I needed everything in focus, I made the aperture smaller when it was sitting at the back of the room. Then when I wanted to get just the people in focus, I opened up the aperture when the camera was closer to them. But I forgot to change the ISO so that it was much brighter on the closer up to people than it was when it was at the back of the room. And I should have adjusted the ISO along with the aperture to keep the lighting looking similar, which I did better this time.
But it's difficult because if you change the exposure triangle, everything like influences the other things. You can't get more light and more depth of field.
Yeah. Yeah.
The opposite.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But you can again brighten and darken certain shots in DaVinci Resolve and the post-production editing on the color tab. But again, it's best to get it as close to what you need on the day, so because you can only adjust the colors so much, especially with a camera that I have is like mid-range APS-C size sensor. It's you've got very fancy full frame. You know,
I
don't you?
No, crop.
Okay, cool.
A bit more expensive, but same sensor size.
Yeah, but bigger sensors are a bit more forgiving, aren't they? You get more range
bigger
of
sensor,
color.
you get narrower depth of field. But there are 3 ways of getting the narrow depth of field. That's with the aperture. The smaller number aperture, the less depth of field you have. So f2 gives you like this much, f4 gives you this much. The other thing is to move closer to the thing you're filming and pull the person further away from the background. That will blur the background. And the third is that you work further away and zoom in. Then you also get blurry background. That's the 3 ways. And of course, do it like in post. And like the iPhone have programs so you can actually blur the background. That's like a really sharp edge.
Yeah.
So it doesn't look that good.
Yeah.
But the problem with filming is that you can't actually choose the shutter time because you have to have a certain type of shutter times. You have to use like an LED filter to make it brighter or darker and so on.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different from what I'm used to in photography.
Because the shutter speed you can't adjust it. You need to use the filters. Yeah, it's true. This thing had stopped working when we did vampires for no reason. I'd got no idea why. But I was filming myself from the back of the room, and this thing wasn't working, so I had to use the audio straight out of the camera. So when you bring up the gain on that, because it's so far away, it's really noisy and not very good. It's too far away to get good quality. But as you saw this time, when the camera was over here filming Alice, we had this stuck to the back of the chair to make sure she had an audio source that was closer. It actually sounded pretty good, I think. It wasn't as close as they recommend. I think you're supposed to be just a few feet away from your face like this or something, ideally. So if you have like a shot of 2 characters, you can just have one of them holding it out of frame here. But it was better than nothing. It was better than using the audio out here. It sounded pretty good, I thought. Patrick got in 1 script rustle at one point. I can't remember when it was, but there was 1 script rustle. The last film is just everyone the whole time looking at their notes. So I found a quote that I quite like. In school, you're taught a lesson and then you're given a test. In life, you're giving a test that teaches you a lesson. So in this case, we did a film before I really explained, maybe before it was clear why we were doing it. My sister sent me this today, and I was actually looking for this very article because I wanted to find this example to put in today's presentation, and I couldn't find it. And then my sister said, like, she said, this is an article that I think will be interesting to you because you're a writer, and it had the exact example that I was looking for. That's right here. Basically, you can read it later, but as an example, they did like a pottery class, and they asked one group of people to make 100 pots in a year, and the other side of the group had to focus on making 1 amazing pot. So the others had loads of practice, and the other people had to focus on making one thing that was very, very, very good. And of course, the people who made 100 pots in a year eventually made better quality material than the people who made just 1 and focused on just 1. And I think that just if you want to get better at something, you have to practice, in which case you have to not be afraid to make something that looks bad or anything like that. When I started this club, I wanted one of my friends to get involved, and we were like, oh, I wish like in another life I could be an indie filmmaker, we said. And then I just kind of Googled it, and I was like, I don't think we need to wait and do this in another life. I think we can do this. I said, I've been a writer for a really long time, and I'm good at it now, but it took me years. So if we want to become good filmmakers, we've got to make some crap. So let's make some crap together, I said to him. And I think he might have been too afraid to make any crap because he never showed up to any of the meetings. I just started this club by myself. But I never stopped, did I? And the meetings keep getting better because I'm just come out here every Monday talking. And I think it's getting better. I don't know. It's at least not declining. Yeah, exactly. It's fun. That's the point. That's the point of this club, is so that people have fun. I mean, filmmaking has all these connotations that I even tried to laugh at in the film of like, we made it everyone we're in Hollywood. Like, if you're a filmmaker, oh, you must want to make like millions of bucks or something. You can also just have fun. I just kind of want to have fun, and I did have fun. So you all achieved like the end goal of this club if you had a good time, because that's what I want people to do. But there is also a theory of if we just keep making these things, we're going to get better and better and better. And Umbrellas Anonymous was better quality than Vampires Anonymous. And whatever we make next will be better than Umbrellas Anonymous. I hope so. Stand-up comics, what they do is like, I think it was Chris Rock. Sometimes he makes like surprise appearances at clubs and he stands up and then everyone starts cheering like, oh my God, I'm going to get to see Chris Rock. What a surprise, how great. And he says to them, lower your expectations. And then he starts to read what are his new set of jokes. Doesn't do them with any kind of inflection, he just reads them to see if people are going to laugh or not. Because his opinion is that like every time you finish a special, like one of these HBO specials where you see that they practiced it for a year and all the jokes flow out perfectly and it's very, very, every piece of material is funny. After that's done and you have no more material, then they become like the worst comic in the world and they need to build up a new hour. So similarly, you know, if we want to make good material, we've got to make a lot of bad material or just like material in general. That's the theory of how I plan for us to get better at filmmaking. I don't think there's anything better than just practice anyway. So yeah, we can talk about the triangle and everything, but you need a reason to learn that. And the reason to learn that is, whoops, we didn't do it properly, you know. Yeah, so this is a Filmmakers Club, so I have the right to assume everyone here is a filmmaker, because you all showed up here. It's not the Stavanger Great Filmmakers Club, it's just the Stavanger Filmmakers Club, you know? So you all are filmmakers, because you all participated in making a film, and you'll make something better next time, and that's what we do. Yeah, I noticed that if I'm not paying anyone, I don't have the right to ask for any professionalism, but that means we don't have to be professional. Who wants to be professional in their spare time? Like, for no money? That's silly. Let's just have fun, you know? And then, there's no way we would have even attempted all of the silly things that we did, all of the interesting creative things, like the talking umbrella, floating umbrella, like Alice paying for the bathroom and stuff, if we wanted somebody to pay us, right? But that's like so much more creative. It's so much more freeing, I think, when money is not involved. Of course we can try and, I mean, we are trying, we've sent stuff to festivals, like we can try and get attention, we can try and get funding, but this is a space for us to be creative and it should, and fun. It should be a fun space and nothing should interrupt that. But when you I understand why people do it, but like when you tell people about this club, I hope you're just like, oh yeah, come, like it's a good time. Please see our materials, please check it out. If I said to somebody like, hey, like I made this sandwich, it's kind of shit. Do you want to eat it? I'd be like, no, I think I'll go get like a good sandwich right over there. I don't want to eat your sandwich. If I went, hey, I made this film, like my acting kind of sucks, and it's like, oh, the lighting's bad and everything. Like, you're going to come in and see it? No, I don't think so. I don't think I'd go see that. So I know that we have fun with the mistakes that we make and everything, but I hope that people, when they go out and tell people about this club, are like, hey, watch this thing, it's really cool, you know?
But people love to laugh at other people.
Yeah, true. True. I would spin it as, I think people find growth very endearing. People love to see where you came from and where you're going, and that you improve. But this is such a problem I see with like writers. I mean, I've been writing for years. I've interviewed a lot of writers, and they are just like, I was a born writer. I was made to do this, and I was like, that's nice. I don't think I was born to do anything. I'm 31. I've got no idea what I'm doing with my life. I have no calling whatsoever. Don't I have a right to write things? You know, does that matter or not? Does it matter if it's your calling, or if you like started amazing at it? You know, I don't really care. I don't even want to talk to that person. You know, I want to see somebody who's like getting better, improving, and I think that's common. At least like that's how I would find my kind of person. I don't want to hang out with people that have to pretend that I'm amazing around. I'd rather hang out with people that are like, oh man, I've got so many issues. Not too many issues, because then, you know, people like the same amount as me. Not too many, but not 0. You can break the rules, it's fine. I told you the rules. 180 rule, we broke that. 30-degree rule, broke that. White balance rule, messed that up. Took some, you know, it was watchable, right? If we'd broken less rules, maybe it would go from like, I don't know how watchable you think it is, but like 80% watchable to 90% watchable, or like, but
I think it was quite smooth. So that,
yeah, exactly. You deliver all of these things. The reason.
I mean, if you watch it and rewatch it and rewatch it, you will start finding the mistakes. But
yeah. Of course. But it's good.
But if you think about it, on average, people watch the movies only once, maybe twice. So
yeah. You're right.
The person who edits it, who sees it like 100 times.
Yeah, absolutely. The reason I make this point is because I do come across in creative circles the notion of, and I mentioned it before, like losing the audience. You're going to do that. If you don't do this in the first minute, you're going to lose your audience, and it's not true. Like, it just isn't true. It's not like an all or nothing thing. It's like you did 70% of a good job, or like 80. You could have bumped that up to 80% if you did a bit harder work, or if you had more practice. But you're never going to like lose. That's my point. You're never going to just outright fail. And I think some people are. What? I think everyone other than okay, I'm not going to say everyone, but like there are probably more people like in the city who would like to be in this room, but who do not consider themselves filmmakers, or who think that they need something before they can show up here. In which case they've just automatically disqualified themselves. Right?
I'm here because I'm not a filmmaker.
Yeah, exactly. Fine, I don't know. If that person is here, or if that person is listening, I want them to know that they can do whatever the hell they feel like. I mean, like I say, I started talking to writers first, and they're like, oh, it took me a long time before I assumed the mantle of a writer. And it's like, you could have done that 5 years old. You wrote something then, then you're a writer. All of this gets in the way of the point. We're just making films. It's just important to me that people understand the attitude of what I'm trying to do. Mariachi broke the rules, same rule that I broke. And like I say, $7,000 to make, made $2 million at the box office because it was made on film. Could have made it for $700 if he'd had a digital camera, but it was made in the 90s. So this is about creativity. It's not about money or, the best kit. Does anyone want to write the next one? You going to write the next one? Do you want me just to give you the scripts of the previous two? And
Yeah, sure. If you can send me the templates. I have template, but if I can follow it.
Yeah, fantastic. But I mean, you know how it is. Like something silly comes in the room, bunch of filmmakers complain.
Yeah.
At the end, hilarity ensues.
We want to kind of brainstorm and kind of try to find some pointers. For example, okay, next film is going to be a cucumber, and it has to be, the tone has to be like kind of a challenge, to...
Okay, aubergine was the idea that I think Amanda came up with. You guys know it. Aubergine. It has nicotine in the skin, so you can smoke it, apparently. That's kind of funny. And also people use the eggplant emoji on apps to mean something bad. So that's your pitch. Aubergine. Yeah. And you're French, like maybe you know some like isn't the word French?
Yeah.
Aubergine? Okay. Maybe there's something there. Go nuts with that. You want
So we still keep the tone like funny.
Yeah, or you can do a dark version if you want. You can do a crime thriller. Who killed the aubergine? Yeah. You can do whatever you want.
Film noir.
Yeah. And that way you can still, maybe we can film it when you're not here or when you are here, I don't know. But it's a way that you can still participate.
Make a horror story in which, all the filmmakers